So, have you ever wished? No, that's not the right way to start this. What's the right way to start this? Anyway, today's show, ask me anything. If you're in the chat, if you're live, you can ask me anything. We're taking some questions also from the YouTube channel and from the vMix forum. So, ask me anything coming up in just a few minutes. Let's try that again. We've got this audio thing going. So, show today, ask me anything. Ask me any question you want, personal, professional, sideways, upside down, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm also going to be taking questions out of the YouTube comments on this show and also some from the vMix forum. So think up your question, write it down, ask it today on the show. All right, we got it this time for sure. All right, all right, all right. Let's see. What do we got here? We got cameras, we got lights, we got audio, and you guys are showing up. So, yeah, what could be better than that? We could be in the middle of the screen. We could click our chair. For those of you longtime viewers, I have a chair that doesn't squeak. It's great. I have two chairs that are identical in the studio. For years, I used the squeaky one, and then finally it just was like, oh yeah, why don't I try the other one? It doesn't squeak, so I put it over there, put the squeaky one over there in the build area, so it doesn't matter if it squeaks. Yeah. All right. Yes, Pandora's box is open. Indeed. We need to, let's see, where are we right here? So we got Gunners here. Eric's here. I can't help you with that one. Michael's here. It's going to be a good show. And I found out that I can do an emoji, and it shows up in vMix. I wonder if do all the YouTube emojis show up in vMix? I don't think they do. Let's try this one. This is called, it's called hand pink waving. Let's see what we get. vMix social. Waiting for it to come through. And here it is. It is hand pink waving. Okay. So let's see. What's the one we just did? We did the grinning face, and the grinning face came through. So obviously not all of them. What about the laughing face with tears? With tears of joy, it says. We'll give it a second. Eric says, this is a snoozer. Yeah, there we go. Laughing face with tears of joy. It's kind of small, but I guess I could make it bigger in vMix. Could I do that? Can we do that really quick? Pre-show, title editor, images, ticker text. Oh, wrong one. Yeah. It was doing this. I was editing that text below. And that's not me. The Tom right there is not me. So yeah. So Scott has a lot of questions about mixes. Well, they're cake mixes and cookie mixes and brownie mixes. Scott, I'm a literal plethora of knowledge about mixes. Hi, everyone. All right, Michael says, Dante set up so his commentators can talk to each other. There you go. I can get the Dante into vMix so I can stream with their Dante voices, but I can't figure out how to get my mic to send to their Dante. Okay. Got it. Got it. We'll go there. We'll go there. And sometimes it has to be communal knowledge. So we'll go. Let's see what kind of time we got. We got a few minutes left before the show. There you go. Eric's like, okay, Eric, I got your back. So what was I thinking? Oh yeah. I've been building a couple of actually building a system. I finished or have almost finished the Obtainium systems. One shipped off, the other's waiting for me to finish it, and it'll ship off tomorrow or Friday. And I've started a new system. I guess it is a Ruby. Let me pull up the vMix reference system here. And it's under products. It is a Ruby. Yes, it's a Ruby. And vMix's specs, you know, it's interesting. The vMix reference system specs, in talking with Tim and Heath and in corresponding with other folks at vMix, the overall thought is we want to kind of give you the minimum specs, and you can always go higher. But on the Opal, no, excuse me, check that. No, the Opal, that's the one I was thinking of. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so on the Opal, they're recommending an MSI motherboard. Ooh, okay. I'll have to try one of those, but I've not had good results long-term with MSI products. So, but I'm using, in the build today, I'm using an Asus Z790 Z790 Plus Wi-Fi D4. That's the model number of the motherboard. And I popped the recommended RTX 3060 in there. And surprise, surprise, nothing happened. No post, no nothing. So I popped a speaker into it, and I said, okay, let's see what kind of beeps we get. And so it gave me a beep, you know, that first little beep to let you know that it's going. And then it gave me a long beep followed by 3 short beeps. Beep, 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 beep. And then kept doing that. Beep, 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 beep. You know how annoying that is? Anyway. And that means that there's a problem with VGA. And I thought, oh, maybe I got a bad card. I've used it in other things. In fact, I used it in the Obtanium build as a test when that 4080 Super bit the bullet. I'll tell you a little bit more about that one in just a second. So so I pulled another 3050 off the shelf, put it in, same exact symptom. And I'm thinking, you know, guys, come on, give me a break. Can it be 2 bad cards when when the first card was already known good? You know, what's going on here? And the CPU, I forget what the CPU is, but it doesn't have integrated graphics on it. So we have to use a video card, a graphics card. So I'm thinking to myself, you're a pretty smart guy, you know, figure this out and make it work. And I looked and I thought, and I looked and I thought, and then I realized the motherboard has more than one X16 slot. It has 3 X16 slots. Now, the second one is blocked by, no, excuse me, I think it just has 2. Yeah, it has 2. But the third one is not full X16. It's like an X8 or an X4 or something like that. I thought, well, let's just put the graphics card in there and see what happens. And I did, and it posted. What? And of course, it posted to BIOS, and I saw that the BIOS was the original BIOS put on it. The Asus, it was like 0803 or 0805 or something like that, a really, really early version BIOS. So the first thing I did was update the BIOS and then shut the system down, moved the 3050 to the main slot, the main X16 slot, closest to the CPU, and fired right up. So if you're having a problem with the 3050 on maybe not older motherboards, I've had this motherboard on my shelf for maybe 6 months, kind of whittling it down to, you know, kind of whittling out the old gear as the new gear comes in. Try a BIOS update. Yeah, that's my advice. That's my advice. All right, let's get the show going. We'll start out with our marvelous intro from Martin K. Thank you, Martin. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So today is an Ask Me Anything kind of thing. And I thought I'd get you guys warmed up with a couple of questions that, that I have gleaned from other sources. Let me put this one up here where you can see it. But first of all, let's sharpen it. And no, not mirror sharpen. There we go, sharpen. And we'll go ahead and blow it up a little bit too. That's main, and we'll just drag this in here. There we go. There we go. Now we're talking. All right, so these are some questions from the YouTube channel. And Brett Tyler, RF6CL, commented, "Hey, Tom, many thanks for sharing these series of videos. I have a budget approved and I'm poised to build this system myself." This is the Obtainium. "But I haven't pulled the trigger yet. Based on your experience," where's the rest of the question? Oh, well, still, let's do read more. There we go. "Based on your, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet based on your experience." Okay, there we go. That's what we want. The fact that I am such an idiot has scared him off. He says, "Have both systems behaved for you in the last few weeks since video was published?" Well, Brett Tyler, I am delighted to say that the experience I had was hardware related. I had, number one, a bad GPU, and number two, a bad CPU. Fortunately, I was building two systems, so I could swap parts in and out. And in fact, just got the GPU, the bad GPU, back from Asus, and they repaired it. They said there was a problem with a connection on it. And we knew that because anytime we wiggled anything, the system just went black, And finally, tracked that down to, okay, what can we wiggle and it won't go black? What can we wiggle? And I wiggled the cable, the DisplayPort cable on that card, and it blacked out. And I said, okay, we got a bad card. So I sent it back hoping to get a new one, but apparently it was an easy fix. And so they said they fixed it and cleaned it and sent it back, and it's working like a champ. I've used Furmark on it to really test it, to give the GPU 100% and monitor the temps and let it run for a long, long time, and there was no failures. And I'm jerking everything around and pulling and not jerking, but touching and moving and trying to see if we can have the same symptoms. Fortunately these days, without a hard drive per se in the systems I think are a little bit more, a little sturdier than they used to be, a little less vulnerable to touch. So I'm liking that. So Brett, go for it, dude. Go for it. And I'll answer the same question on the YouTube. All right. And then from 2 weeks ago, Chili says, "I'm building the exact same config and have very similar issues. However, I'm not building multiple systems, so I don't have a bunch of parts to swap out. So my journey has been very tedious." Chili actually posted questions about his Obtainium system on the internet, on a forum of some kind, and also in the vMix forum. So if you want to go read the vMix forum, just do a search on Obtainium, and his questions will come up. Anyway, let's finish. He said, "I've talked with both Gigabyte and Intel support to get the point, but it's still incredibly unstable. Intel sent me a replacement CPU, been there, done that, and I still can't get this thing to play nice. I bought replacement memory, swapped out GPUs between a 1050 Ti, 3090, and a 5070 Ti, and it was reliably booting into Windows and responsible when powered on for days. However, I had to boot using VGA and add a monitor plugged into the GPU after logging into Windows. That's a BIOS issue. Been plugged into the GPU from a cold boot would cause an endless boot cycle. I read about 24H2 causing issues with drivers, so I reinstalled using 23H2. But now the system locks up once Windows starts circling back. Animation spins once or twice. Fans blasting full speed, but nothing happening. left in that state overnight, still frozen with fans at full in the morning. Let's show more. Found your series on this journey and discovered BIOS R09 was released through you. Thank you. I've been trying to get this up and running since February. Oh my gosh, before R08 had even been released. I haven't tried the adjustments you made to the PCIe lanes or the CPU state until just now, but it doesn't appear to have fixed Windows hanging back on circle animation. I'm going to keep whittling away at it. I have to make this work after dropping so much cash on it, but I'm very frustrated that vMix would put out this reference guide, which seems to be an overly temperamental build for so many people. Several Redditors, I think it was Reddit that he had posted to originally, several Redditors shared that they had the exact problem or similar. I hope to see vMix themselves put out a video unboxing the parts, installing the hardware, configuring the BIOS, and updating drivers and Windows settings for the most optimal vMix environment. Well, that's not really a question, but it is an incredibly great and thoughtful comment. And Chichili, if you end up watching this, I have come out the other end of the tunnel. I have. And the very first problem that I had, and it may be a problem that you had or may have, is that Intel sent me the wrong bracket, the wrong mounting bracket, the wrong installation bracket with the CPU the first time, or one of them. Fortunately, I had a second CPU on hand that had the correct bracket in it. And so I just went out to either eBay, maybe Amazon, and bought a bracket for $15. And I was going to try to modify, before I knew enough, I was going to try to modify the bracket that came with the CPU, because the Silverstone water cooler, the liquid cooler, also came with a bracket, but it was the same bracket that came with the Intel CPU, the Xeon. So I thought, you know, they're both the same. They must be the right ones. They weren't the right ones. Neither one of them. I mean, they were identical, but they weren't the right ones. And there's actually a model number on it. In just a minute, I'll walk over there and grab. I have an extra one now because when I replaced my CPU, Intel sent me a new bracket, the correct bracket this time. But I noticed when I tried to fit the bad bracket on, it almost fit. And if I could take my razor knife out and trim off a couple little tabs, it would fit, which doesn't mean it was right. And I didn't end up installing it that way. But I did notice in the picture that you posted on Reddit that the hoses for the water cooler were coming off the water cooler block on the side closest to me, which is at the rear of the PC. On mine, that block is 180 degrees turned so that the water cooler lines are coming off the block on the farthest side of me. And I wanted to make it so that it would go back on the other side, but I couldn't make it go back so that it was on the other side. It just wouldn't fit right. So I would say, you know, something is amiss there, and to double check your system at that level. And you're definitely willing to, you're welcome to reach out to me directly at easternshorebroadcasting.com. There's a comment page there. So there we go. That's a great, oh, and somebody replied to him. Small world. I just realized you found my vMix forum post before I found your live series on all this. Well, there you go. So let's give him a thumbs up and both of them, and we'll give him a heart on both of them. So great questions, and appreciate that a whole lot. Let's go to another one here that says, "Hi, Tom. I'm only 5 years late to this video. Thank you. I'm new to vMix and Replay. Any classes still happening?" And the question is, so are there any classes? At this point, we don't have any classes on the schedule. In the past, we've scheduled kind of a vMix 101 class, and then we've scheduled replay classes. And I think we probably need to do that again, because there's been enough changes in vMix and enough changes in replay to warrant putting that out again. So there we go. And then there's one from 5 years ago, but we're not going to go for that one. And then we'll go to this one that is from, can't pronounce all that. Anyway, it says, "Sir, cost this setup Obtainium PC. If I had to buy these parts out of my pocket the two systems that I built included 16 ports of SDI. That was two Blackmagic Decklink Quad 2 cards, about $1,000 a piece. So if you toss those out of the mix, I think my cost on this system was probably about $7,000 in parts, and then my expertise in putting it together. So we'll give you a thumbs up and a reply, and we'll give you about 7K parts only. So there we go. Oops, didn't mean to do that. All right, so let's go back and see if there are any other comments that we can see. No more comments there. No more comments there. All right, let's see. So we did have the comment, and I'm going to throw up the pre-show just because it's got the comment below. And let's see if we can't get this comment at the very beginning. I think his question was, when he starts his YouTube stream, it starts immediately, but he can't get the X stream and the Facebook stream. Yeah, there we go. I streamed a Facebook group, x.com, and YouTube. When I start my broadcast, YouTube sees it and starts automatically. I don't have to do anything to get the YouTube stream to go out over the internet. But is there a way to set up vMix to do the same with x.com and Facebook groups without having to go into Facebook each time and setting up that broadcast and having to hit go live every time? Also, x.com seems to require me to go to X each time and set up a source. Is there anyone that's used vMix able to start a broadcast to X and the Facebook group without all the extra steps inside X and Facebook? Thanks, Tom. And I'm not the Tom. So that's a great question, Tom. I think, and this is opinion, not fact, I think the answer is no. You're going to have to go into Facebook group and set it up. I'm not familiar with X at all, so I can't answer the X question. But let's see if anybody here in the chat has got something like that. Nobody yet, but we'll keep an eye on the chat. We'll keep an eye on the chat. If anybody knows about x.com, streams to X, I think I streamed to X back when it was Twitter, sometimes just for fun. But that was like years ago, so that doesn't really count. Doesn't really count. Let's see what else we got. I know a question's out there. What about Windows 10? And the support for Windows 10 really is on the horizon. I mean, we can see to the edge of the horizon, and there's a big sign on the edge of the horizon that says Windows 10 support stops here, and that horizon is gradually getting closer to us. And I've been a Windows 10 guy since Windows 8.1. Windows 10 never looked so good, and have kind of lamented Windows 11 because every time they change things, gosh, it's like if they take the grocery store in your town and they move it from here over to here. My autopilot takes me to here and not there, and I have to learn a new way to get to the grocery store. You get the analogy. So I forced myself to do Windows 11 because so many of my clients were accidentally, unknowingly updating themselves to Windows 11. And I said, I got to support those guys, so I got to know what's going on there. And inevitably, I'm going to have to go to Windows 11. And so I did it. And, the thing that bugged me the most, sounds stupid, but the thing that bugged me the most was that the start button was in the center of the bottom of the screen and not off to the left where it belonged. So once I found out you could move it to the left, I felt a whole lot better. And once I found, kind of found my way to the new grocery store, found where the settings were and found that they were a little different, but all my favorites were still there where I needed them to be. I found it to be, it's pretty snappy. It's pretty snappy. I like Windows 11, I think. So, the same thing goes with Windows 10. The second Tuesday of every month, hat tip to Rich Ignacio on this one. Second Tuesday of every month is Update Tuesday or Black Tuesday. It's Patch Tuesday, I think is what they really call it. And you remember, what was it, 7 or 8 years ago, when on Patch Tuesday, Microsoft released an update to make things better that disabled virtually every webcam in the world. And my phone was ringing off the hook, and I guess everybody else's was. And somebody discovered, hey, it's this particular update. Let's uninstall it, and the problem went away. So that was a lesson to me not to update on Update Tuesday. Update Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month. I calendar to go with fourth Tuesday of the month. Today's not Tuesday, and it's not the fourth Tuesday, but I did check updates today, and there wasn't anything special there. But I can't emphasize enough updating your vMix, updating your PC's Windows installation at least monthly. I have had situations where, people are calling me with an oddball problem. It doesn't make sense, and we look in all the places where you would think, and then it turns out it's just a Windows update issue. I had somebody from the Associated Press here in the US call me one time because they were having trouble with vMix. It wasn't my installation, but I said I'd help them. I'm an idiot. Anyway, we updated Windows, and they're like, oh, no. I asked them, I said, when was the last time you updated Windows? They said, oh, well, it updates itself. I said while laughing, no, it doesn't. It updates a few things, but it doesn't update everything. You have to go and enforce an update. And they're like, oh, really? We've never done that. Oh, okay. Well, let's do it. So I wasn't looking at their system. I didn't dial into it, but I was just talking with them, and I kind of walked them through how to do it. And they said, oh, well, yeah, there are a few updates here. I said, okay, so let's go through those. And then we'll restart the PC and check again. Well, why do you have to check again? It did an update. I said, just humor me. So we went through the process, and of course, as you know, there was another series of updates hiding behind that first series of updates. And I didn't have anything special to do that afternoon, so I hung out with that guy on the phone while he went through that process of updating, rebooting, checking for updates. He went through that process 21 times before his PC was up to date. Now, this was Windows 10, not Windows 11. Maybe Windows 11 will work a little better. Maybe they've figured out a way to consolidate some of those updates for some of you laggards that that don't update on a regular basis. But let that be a lesson to you, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but let that be a lesson to you that you need to update Windows. And if you're having a problem, before you tear your hair out, before you call me and make me tear my hair out, update your Windows. Update your Windows, and then update them again and again and again. And sometimes the same things can happen with the graphics card. I had a client, and this was, again, some years ago, who was having a problem on a PC that I built, and I had supplied the keyboard and the mouse was simply dragging itself across the screen. And I was like, I don't know. Have you tried another mouse? He said, no, but I've got one here. So he plugged that one in, same problem. Rebooted, plugged in, same problem. And I said, okay, well, let's update Windows and we'll do all this other stuff. And couldn't figure it out, but he said, it was somewhat workable, and he had to go do a live stream, and we'd get back in touch after that. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I can do, but we'll give that a try. And so he called me back, I think the next day, maybe 2 days later. He said, I found it. I said, really? Was it just 2 bad mice? What was it? 3 blind mice? And he said, no, it was the graphics card driver. I downloaded a new NVIDIA graphics card driver and installed it, and the problem went away. Okay, so that's on my list now of crazy solutions to crazy problems. So update Windows until it won't update itself anymore. Update your graphics card driver. And as the story I told in pre-show about updating your BIOS, you can go back and watch that. Anyway, so yeah, Rich is in the show. Oh yeah, Rich is in the show. Let's do this. I'm going to go to the pre-show questions because we can show the, I mean, pre-show formats because we can show the questions. Rich had a, may still have, I think it was a Magewell 4-port SDI capture card that I sold him as part of a package 100 years ago. And Rich likes to take his kit to the beach on a regular basis, like every weekend in the spring and the summer and the early fall. And he does amazing live streaming of jet skis. And it really is cool. It may not call them jet skis, but anyway, you know, the watercraft I'm talking about. And it's even done it with drones and remote cameras in the water and all sorts of other crazy stuff. But the connectors on his Magewell 4-port SDI capture card were rusting. And I think one of them had even come loose. And it was out of warranty with Magewell. It was out of warranty with me. And he calls me up, you know, Tom, what can I do? What can I do? I was like, well, you know, the worst that can happen if you send it back to Magewell and ask for tech support is they may tell you, you know, you're stuck with it, bud. We can't help you. And I said, but you never know until you ask. So he called them and they said, send it in. He sent it in. They fixed it. They cleaned up all the rust and they charged him $50 and sent it back to him. I don't know, Rich, is that card? Are you still using that card? That was years ago. You've probably gone to NDI for everything now, but that was quite something. That was quite something. Let's go back to Peter's comment from earlier about the Windows 10 support. I would encourage you to go ahead and update to Windows 11 when you have some time to get it configured the way you want it and learn it. Don't do it the day before a gig or the morning of a gig, but go ahead and do it. Now, if your PC is too old, well, it may not be. I've tried it here on my Microsoft Surface Pro 6, but it didn't take. But I'm going to try it again because I think I did it wrong. But I think you can install Windows 10 on devices that do not comply. It's that TPM, Trusted Platform Module, or whatever that some motherboards don't have or may not be populated. And so, yeah. So there is hope for all of you guys on that. And Rich says, long ago, it all went, and now it's all NDI. The money we spent to do things that, you know, we thought could be done. All right, Michael has a question. Michael says he wants to build an input where he has cam view small with commercial on top of game can. I also want the commercials to be in a list that advances once played. Build an input where I can have a cam view small with a commercial on top of the game cam. Also want the commercial to be in a list that advances once played. I think that should be pretty simple. Let's see if we can do something like that here. Do I have a screen capture active? Yeah. Let's go to this desktop capture, and we'll put me there just for fun. And we'll add an input. In fact, we won't even add an input. We'll just come down and push the button input, and we'll do a blank input. So it's going to be black. So we'll scroll down to the bottom. Here's our black input. So we want to go into layers, and then of course we're going to add a cam. So here's the cam, and let's go in and edit the cam a little bit and make it a little smaller. And then I think this is what he's talking about. Maybe the cam is real small. Oh, the camera's real small. Okay, so let's make the camera real small. Put it off to the corner. And come back to layers. And we want to add something in front of it. So do we have a video here that we can use? That it would be an ad? No. Let's go. We'll leave that for just a second. We're going to add a list. Where's the list? Instant replay, image, photos, PowerPoint. Oh, no. Nope, there it is, list, right at the top. So we're going to add, and we are going to, do we have any video files in here? Yeah, there's one. We'll add that one. And then see if we can find another video file. No. Let's go to videos. Do we have anything in the video file? Captures? No. Let's go to Dropbox and see if we've got vMix replay footage from Martin. That'll work. We'll take one of those. So that's just a movie file. And then go to this video file, and there's some fireworks. Oh yeah, we'll take fireworks, and then we'll take manatees, and then we'll take that one pretty short. That looks like it is 30 seconds. Okay, we'll take that one, and we'll get rid of this one right here because that's a real long one. All right, so we're going to say okay. So we've got our list. And now we're going to take our list, which is number 92, and we'll put it behind the camera. So if we take the list now, we'll bring it right here and play it. It's going to play Dancing Guy. Wonder how long he's supposed to play for. I think it's about a 30-second on that one. Yeah. Fireworks is 16, manatees is 15, and the last one was 30 seconds. Okay, so it shifts automatically to fireworks. Yep, there we go. So Michael, there is the answer to your question. If you'll use a list input, put all your commercials in there. I think if I'm answering the question correctly, or if I'm understanding it. Now we're on to the third video with the manatees. Cute little rascals, aren't they? Oh my gosh. They call them sea cows, and they are abundant around here. And they're huge. They might be 300 or 400 pounds. Okay, and then that's just something I did at the very end. So yeah, let's go back here. There we go. So if I understood your question correctly, which was that right there, we'll go with it. Let's get rid of that. All right. All right, another question from Michael. If I have good Wi-Fi in the field, can I use Larynx Broadcaster to deliver NDI stream to vMix in 1080p 50? I have no idea. I don't use Larynx Broadcaster. But since I said I would answer every question, the answer is no. Yes. Test it. Yeah, the Wi-Fi, good Wi-Fi is the question. What is good Wi-Fi? Is good Wi-Fi, 2.5 or 25 or 250? And are you the only one using that good Wi-Fi? Are you sharing it? If so, who knows what's going to happen? Yeah. Is this real or AI? If you have to ask, all right. And Chris is here. All right, and here is STYNTTY, Snitty. All right, thanks for a great show and all my questions about streaming as a profession. A lot of ears pricking up on this one. How would you divide the industry? How would you divide the industry people characters? How would you divide the industry people characters? What are the most important attributes a pro should have? Well, technical competence is high on the list. Knowing your gear, knowing what your limitations are, knowing what you're capable of. But one of the things that draws people to this technical profession is that they like technical stuff. And people that like technical stuff are generally uncomfortable with crowds of people or with strangers. I mean, that's just my assessment. You can certainly take issue with me if you want to. And so people that are drawn to this live streaming broadcasting kind of field have trouble with it because they can't make the sale. They can't make the sale. They are technically savvy, but they are sales-wise a mess. They get intimidated, they get shy, they get bashful, they get embarrassed, and then they try to sell their product based on being the lowest price because that's the only way they can think they can differentiate themselves. My friend Scott Whitney, formerly of Livestream Las Vegas, did for years a teaching series online about selling the live streaming product to a client, how to go about doing that. In fact, he offered one-on-one coaching, and that was the difference between success and failure. The difference between success and failure was not technical expertise. It was not the ability to do a live broadcast well. It was the ability to sell a live broadcast. So unless you've got somebody that works for you that takes that role, you're going to have to tool yourself up and teach yourself or have somebody help you learn how to sell, how to go in and talk with people and analyze their needs and be able to convince them that you are the best, not the cheapest, not the happiest maybe, but you are the best solution for what they want. One of the ways to do that is, and I stumbled into this by accident, the Streaming Idiot show and the show that preceded it have about 500 episodes out there on YouTube where we try all sorts of stuff. Most of it, well, not most of it, but a lot of it fails. A lot of it's successful. And I have gotten more phone calls, emails, text messages, Facebook messages, X, formerly Twitter messages, from my videos asking people to, in my case, build a PC for them. Technical expertise. And so I didn't have to do the sales thing. They were already convinced by watching me do what I'm doing right now that I was the guy they wanted. It wasn't a question of price at that point. It was a question of, what are the specs? What are we going to do? How are we going to make this work? How are we going to fit it in our budget? I wasn't the cheapest guy. I was the only guy. And so I would say if you are picking a particular field to stream, maybe it's sports, maybe it's rugby, maybe it's talk shows, maybe it's women's issues. I mean, whatever the field is, put some content of your own out there in that field. You might even put out a how would I live stream a rugby match, and you'll say, this is how I'd live stream a rugby match. Are you helping your competitors? Yeah, maybe, but if they were so smart, they would have already done this video. So you can show your future client, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. We use these kind of cameras in this kind of situation, and go out there to a rugby pitch. What do you call a rugby field? And actually do a portion of the game. Show how you do replay. Show how you can take a camera that is a cell phone. That's my granddaughter, by the way. A camera that's a cell phone using vMix Call out on the field and interview somebody at the half or the post game or the pre-game or whatever. I mean, put the whole thing together and make it work. You don't have to do it live. You can be all recorded footage and you're narrating it. But yeah, and I've got 1,001 other good ideas just like that one. All right, Michael Quist. I've been running 4 football shows the last month. By football, if you're in the US, he means soccer. All computers on Windows 11 Pro. There we go. Last update done by the middle of April. No issues at all with any PCs being an HP laptop, Asus tower. Yeah, baby. Oh, here's the rest of it. 2 cams, Dante Audio, vMix Telestrator, all NDI. Ooh, Telestrator, I'm liking it. So the question is, static IP on units or bind your MAC address to the IP table in the router? Pros, cons. Well, that assumes that you have a router that you can manage. I'm using an unmanaged switch here. But looks like Jono has an answer to you. Always use DHCP reservation, never static IP. There you go. Yep, Rich is talking about Windows again. Office patches not trusted. Last April, a Microsoft Office 2016 patch broke Office, and about a year ago, a Windows 10 patch broke my audio. M released a patch for the patch. Couldn't you just uninstall the patch? Microsoft patches are not reliable. Had a Microsoft Office 2016 patch break thousands of workstations in April. Thousands! And about a year ago, audio. Sounds like much the same guy. American football? No! No! Oh my gosh. That goes on over there? Where are you, Michael? I forget. Are you a Dane? Or have I just insulted you? I hope not. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is too much fun. Too much fun. All right, let's see. I think we had another question somewhere. I'm going to go to the vMix forum and let's see if we can find a question that nobody else has. Oh, I know one. Where is it? Right here. It is. Yeah. Let me get this one out of the way. And let's go to the NVIDIA control panel. And let's see if we can blow this up just a little bit. Position, main. We'll get this just a little bit larger. And this is the setting that I change when I set up a PC in the NVIDIA control panel. I'm going to go to 3D settings right here, and I'm going to scroll through the list. It's an alphabetical list, and I'm looking for power management mode. Click the drop down. And the reason I mention this is because every time, I think it's every time I notice it, it happens. Every time I update my NVIDIA graphics card driver, this power management mode resets itself to normal. Why is that important? Well, prefer maximum performance. There it is right there. And I'm going to click just out of the screen right down here at the bottom. I'm going to click apply. And yeah, and now it is applied, and there it is. The reason that's important is because vMix is counting on this. So let me get into my vMix settings for just a second. Let's go back to our desktop capture here. Put me there. So we're going to go to settings, top right corner. We're going to go to performance, and we're going to say graphics adapter in use, NVIDIA GeForce 4060. Well, with the rebar enabled, and we'll talk about rebar in just a second. But 4070 Ti Super. Phew. vMix is going to use this graphics card, and it would like to use it at the maximum performance. And so we have to go into the control panel and set prefer maximum performance. And once we do that, then we'll go back to performance here. Then this little guy can be happy. Would not at all do high input performance mode on anything with rebar enabled. Rebar is resizable bar. If I had an older PC with an older motherboard that didn't have resizable bar as an option, and I had at least 3 gigs of memory, I would do this. But I would not do that otherwise. In some cases, this can actually degrade your performance. So, I mean, try it, test it, and see. Try it, test it, and see. Yep. Other things that I would do, when I set up a PC for somebody else, I am going to take away quick play, never used it, and I'm going to add the production clock. Boom. I might add T-bar. I'm going to go in audio, and I'm going to uncheck automatically mix audio. I think this confuses a lot of people. So I just say, you know, you're not going to automatically mix audio unless you choose to do it. It's not going to already be chosen for you. And the other thing is, I'll go to the audio outputs, and the straight from the studio version, straight out of the box, vMix looks like none, default on master output and headphones. And again, I find that can confuse some people, so I'll take those and set those to none when I'm setting up a PC. And I'll set all these to none as well. Nothing else here I don't think that I'll change. If I have an external card that I'm going to enable, I'll go ahead and enable it here for the client so that it's already set up. We'll cancel that so that we don't save any of those settings. The other thing I'll do while we're talking about it, I'll go into the stream settings, and the default stream setting in vMix is actually not 1080p. It's 720. And I've had a lot of folks call me or write emails to me or whatever and say, hey, you know, how can I make vMix do a better, higher resolution? I've got all my cameras are 1080, my production is 1080, but it appears to only be streaming 720. And that's because the default setting here on the streaming page is 720. So I changed that to 1080. I don't change it to AV1 because I don't know everybody's destination. Or, yeah. The other thing I'll change is I'll go into the recording settings. Oops, I can't do that now. Yeah, I can't go into the recording settings, but if I could, I would go in and direct it to the correct drive. I don't want it to record to the C drive. So I'll set it up to the second drive that's intended for recording on that PC. Yep, I would. All right, let's see. What else have we got here? We got anything else interesting in our discussions? Aha. Denmark. My team is also playing in the Nordic Swedish League. Interesting. Wow. Cool. So I could come to Europe and watch a football game. What time of the year do y'all play? Y'all play in the fall, like here in the U.S., or you're playing now? Playing in the spring. Let's see. We were looking for a question that somebody has asked in the vMix forum and hasn't been answered yet. Here it is. Let's do a screen capture. Oh, do we have a desktop capture on that one? Nope. We'll take that one out then. All right, so we need to set up a desktop capture of the second screen. Ooh, which one is that going to be? Oh, we'll just take Chrome. Will that do it? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, and I wish you could set defaults. I'll show you here in just a second. Let's go back here. So I've added an input down here, desktop capture number 92, and I'm going to go in and I want to sharpen it. And I wish I could leave everything sharpened. It'll stay once I check it, but the default is not sharpened. Okay. So let's get this guy up there. And this is our question. In fact, we can blow it up just a little bit. And F. Goldman, is that Fritz? I bet it is Fritz. When using the API to turn on and off bus selection, is the value limited to one bus at a time, or can I put in multiple selections? E.g., value equals MAB, or perhaps value is MAB. Update, I did a little experimentation, and it appears that it just takes a single bus value at a time. Can anyone confirm this? Okay. When using the API to turn on and off bus selection. Well, let's look at shortcuts, and we'll take a look here at shortcuts, edit, add, and the function is going to be audio bus X. Let's do audio bus X. So our options there are right there. MAB, C, D, E, F, G, separated by commas. So that is the symbol there. Let's see if audio bus. Yep, same thing for audio bus. What about bus A audio? Now with bus A audio, you don't have the options because you're already speccing bus A. And the only reason bus A and B are still on this list is because Martin Sinclair likes that legacy approach. These were the ones he started with years ago, and then he added bus X. But he didn't want to break it for anybody that was using A and B in the past He still was using bus X. Let's see, set bus A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So those are all spec'd. Set volume bus mixer, A, B, C, D, M. So yeah, it looks like if you were going to set the volume to a bus mixer, you have the opportunity to set the volume in 0 to 100, but you're already selecting which bus. So yeah. So Fritz, I hope we answered your question. Now that's in the API. I would assume the API is going to work the same way as the, he does say the API, but I assume the API and the shortcuts are going to work the same way. But it may be in a, in a script that it's different. I don't know. Does anybody else know? Let's see, let's find, we'll go back here. There we go. Okay, nobody else has weighed in on that one quite yet. All right, so football in Europe started a month ago, and the Mermai Bowl in October. Nordic Storm, a new team, played their first game ever this weekend, the Elf League. Ha! Ha! How about that? Is that cool or what? Okay, that is cool. That is cool. Michael, I appreciate you sharing all that. Well, I think we've got all the questions for the moment. If you've got a question that you didn't see this video until later, you can go to the website, go to the website. There we go, easternshorebroadcasting.com. There's a contact page there. There's also my email address, and I think there's even my phone number. So contact me in the way that you feel most comfortable, and I'd be happy to help you with the questions. I'm going to reach out to Chili and see if we can't help him get back on board. I agree, it would be amazing to watch vMix do a PC build. It really would. And my PC build shouldn't have taken, what did it take, 6 or 7 sessions? It shouldn't have taken that long. But number one, bad hardware. That was the key, bad hardware. And the motherboard selection, the Gigabyte motherboard, the documentation for that was abysmal. Tech support from Gigabyte has been slow. So give me back my Asus as soon as possible. I know Eric, if he's still around, Eric built one or more than one maybe Obtanium reference system PC, but he used the Asus board, and he also used a different a different Xeon processor. I think he used a 35 something instead of a 25 something. So enabled all of the PCIe lanes. And oops, Eric is around, and he said just one. But what was the Xeon chip you used, Eric? And am I correct in saying that it did enable all the PCIe slots, and it also enabled all of the RAM slots? Because the Xeon chip, was able to do that. The one that vMix chose, I think they chose it for budgetary reasons. The W5-2565X is maybe a 24 core processor, something like that. I can look it up. And it's, golly gee, it's got power coming out the ears, but it's not as powerful as some of the other Xeons. Let's see. This is an 18 core processor. The nice thing about the Xeons is that they don't have the efficiency cores efficiency cores. They just have the power cores. And so 18 cores means 36 threads, means a lot of juice. Yeah, a lot of juice. Michael is talking about Windows 11. When upgrading from Windows 10, choose Windows 11 Pro. Just find it more reliable, especially on network. You know, Michael, that's great advice. And the underlying principle that goes with that is nobody ever complains about buying something with high value. They just complain about things that don't work the way they should, and generally those were low value. Yeah. So Eric says it is a W53425, and that yes, all the PCIe lanes were enabled. I think using the chip, the vMix spec on the Asus motherboard, like every other slot was available, which is kind of crazy. And maybe that's why they picked the gigabyte motherboard. So let's see. So if we did the Xeon W5, and that was the 3525, and we'll look it up under, and that is a 16-core CPU. With a base frequency of 3.2 gigahertz and a turbo of 4.8. Interesting. So it's actually got fewer cores. And it does 112 PCIe Express lanes. Let's see what this one does. This is 18 core. The 2565X vMix recommends is 3.2 as a base, 4.8 as a turbo, so the same there. 18 cores instead of 16, but it only does 64 PCI Express lanes. That's the big difference. Okay. Okay. So good to know. Wonder what the 3525 sells for. Sells for $1,500–$1,600. So about the same pricing. Might be worth an update, vMix. Let's see. Oh, I know. You know, one of the reasons why vMix picked things where it was because they were readily available. And let's see if that is available. W525, no, excuse me, 3525 in Newegg. Is that available? 2535. Nope. Nope. And that's why they didn't pick. Oh, the 3535 is, but that's 2000. 35, 20, 2455, 3435. Don't see it on the list. So it's probably a matter of getting of ease of access. Eric, did you have trouble finding yours? Oh, 3535. Gotcha. All right, well, let's go look at 3535. Still not seeing it in. Let's see. There it is. Okay, $2,000. 20-core CPU. Let's look it up in Intel specs. And I think I see the reason why vMix didn't choose it. Well, price. 20 cores, 40 threads, a processor base frequency of 2.9. I know vMix likes to say 3.0. So the difference between 3.0 and 2.9, though, is just negligible. And a turbo of 4.8 and 112 lanes. Yeah. So that would probably be a good one to check with. Oh, 3425, not 3525. My bad. Let me check again. W5 3425. Until you know, you don't know. Okay. So that's the W5 3425. Is that right? Did I get it right? 3435. Brain is a terrible thing to waste. 3435. Let's find that one. And that one is 3435. Is 16 core. 3.1 gigahertz base processor, base frequency, 4.7 turbo, 112 PCIe lanes. And the general cost come on, Tom, find the cost from somebody. Okay, Newegg says 1,700. So slightly more. Well, here's another new. I wonder if that's a used one. Oh, must have been on. Well, it says 1,649 is the price. Is it new? This is coming from a third-party company. But coming from Newegg directly is 1,750. Okay, that's not too bad. What benefits would it be in the Gigabyte motherboard? Probably not much. Well, it would give you more express lanes. PCI express lanes. Oh, excuse me. And it would give you 8 memory channels. So you could get more memory and you could use the express lanes, but they're all blocked by a big card anyway. All right. All right. Good to know. Good to know. Eric, you're a gem. What can I say? I know most people don't say that about you, but I will. I'll go out on a limb. Oh my gosh. Yes, Michael, shoot him an email. All right. Now, if you had a question and you didn't ask it today, you only have yourself to blame. But I'm to blame if you don't like this video. So just reach right out there with that mouse and like this video. And if you're not already subscribed, that would be good too. And if you'd like to help me after the fact, once this thing is published, go back and add a comment to it. Just say, Tom, you're the greatest thing since Eric. Just teasing, of course. Well, I appreciate you guys. And I will see y'all next week. Let's see if we can do this with vMix Social. Come on. vMix Social just takes a little while to catch the comment. There it is. There it is. Ah, and thank you, Peter. It's nice to be thanked. Yeah. All right, boys and girls. Only boys this time. Catch you on the flip side.